Hello, welcome to Gardener's World. Now, whether you like it or not, you just have to admit to yourself that summer is drawing to an end. It's a new phase of the year. Now, of course, summer can and hopefully will elegantly drift into autumn, and we can manage and enjoy that. But it is time to take stock and plan for the future. And one of the ways of doing this is to cut back. For example, the alchemilla mollis that I've planted to line the path here in the writing garden has a wonderful sort of lime green freshness in spring and early summer. But now it's just looking a bit tired. Cut it back hard and you will get a fresh flush of foliage. And that will add a little bit of light and texture to the autumn garden. This week, Carol pays her last visit to Sally and Jeff Davis in Somerset, finds out how they've got on over the summer with their mature garden renovation, and lends a hand with the final stages of their pond restoration.
One of the things you've got to be most particular about is this. Yes. It's duckweed. It's the very devil. It'll just spread all over your pond and make it impossible for everything else to breathe.
And we visit the gardens of Parham House in West Sussex to explore and celebrate their extraordinary collection of sunflowers.
Real revelation to me has been the dwarf sunflowers, like Munchkin that we've got here, has required no staking, no fuss, and yet it gives you these wonderful long stems which are perfectly adequate for most people's kitchen tables.
And I shall be trying to add colour to one of the hardest parts of any garden, which is dry shade, and adding winter colour to the cottage garden, but not with flowers. I shall be planting really decorative winter veg. This rambling rose, called Wedding Day, flowered for the first time this year. I only planted a couple of years ago. Absolute wonderful white froth, floating and shimmering in amongst the branches of the apple tree. But now it's done its stuff, and ramblers tend to just flower once, small flowers, often in great clusters, and that's it. And the pruning regime for rambling roses, as opposed to climbing ones, is a bit different. Climbing roses flower on the current season's growth, but rambling roses flower on the previous year's growth. And you can see here, this is this year's growth, nice and strong, and there are no flowers on it at all. On this stem here, which is not very strong because it's in shade, this is the previous year's growth. And these shoots grew last summer and they've got flowers. So the thing to do at this time of year with rambling roses is just tidy them up. The best time to prune them is immediately after flowering. If you want to reshape them or take out old wood, best time to do that is in late winter. So all I'm going to do is tidy up a little bit. I'm going to cut this off because that's just arching over into the border and getting in the way. So I'm going to make a cut there and take that off like that. One of the things to watch when you're pruning any rose that's had a mass of flowers is that you will be pruning away the hips. Flowers obviously develop into fruit, and that's all rose hips are, the fruit of the rose. And they can be almost as decorative as the flower themselves. So if you want to enjoy the hips, leave your pruning till later in winter or early spring. But as part of tidying up these borders in the writing garden, this is a fairly simple but quite useful step. Right, let's tidy up the mess. Now, I've got more pruning to do here in the writing garden, which is more or less cosmetic, but will make a difference. One of the problems of having a white garden is that when plants cease to be white and turn faded and brown, they really don't look good at all. And what you have to do is keep deadheading. And this is just pruning, because what I'm doing is cutting back to a leaf and that will stimulate new flowers. So not only are you tidying up what's there, you are encouraging more flowering for as long as possible. And this is true of a lot of plants in a white garden. You need to be more attentive, more rigorous about policing them so that you keep that pristine whiteness going. Now, earlier this year, Carol went to visit Sally and Jeff Davis, who bought a new house near Pruning in Somerset. And attached to it was a large and mature garden, and she's guided them through the process of adapting it and changing it so it becomes theirs. And this week, she pays her final visit to see how the work has gone on over the summer and also to help them with the last big centrepiece of the garden.
Sally and Jeff have been transforming the garden that surrounds their new home. After lifting and dividing perennials to create some new borders, the next step was to tackle a pond. It was clearly going to be a big job, so Sally and Jeff called in the experts. The pond was choked with vegetation, including brambles and even young trees. And they made sure the resident wildlife was well taken care of. 3 weeks on, I'm dying to see how they've been getting on. I can't believe it!
It is huge, isn't it?
It's a complete transformation, isn't it?
It's totally different, yes.
Yeah. Have you made it much bigger?
No, it's the same size. It's just been cleared.
Yeah, it
And it's
certainly
now an
has.
Olympic-sized pond.
Well, I was wondering where the diving board's going to go, because that's what you feel like doing,
It
isn't
looks
it?
very tempting, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
I have had a little paddle, I must admit.
Good. Well, I mean, this is epic. It really is. But you've been busy everywhere, haven't you?
We have.
And I couldn't help noticing these borders. I mean, they are splendid. And your steps.
Yes.
Your
the
generous
steps we talked about.
I mean, the colours in here, Sally, it's beautifully planted.
Yeah, we're
it
very
really
happy
is.
with it.
Shall we get cracking with this pond then?
Yes,
eh?
yes, there's lots to do, isn't there?
Yeah. When the pond was cleared, Sally and Jeff managed to salvage some great plants. Water plantain, marsh marigold, yellow flag and water lilies. Can you see the whole surface of this? It's covered in moss, which means it must have been above the surface of the water. One of the things you've got to be most particular about is this.
Oh, yes.
It's duckweed. A little tiny thing which looks, you know, looks so mild.
Yeah, it's
and-
just innocuous.
Yeah, but it's not.
Ah.
It's that very devil. It'll just spread all over your pond and make it impossible for everything else to breathe. Keeping the nutrients in the pond low discourages algae and duckweed. Trimming old leaves and roots off the lilies will help, and it should stimulate new growth. What's more, they should now fit into their new baskets. We're just going to put a load of this compost in first of all.
Is it special compost or just normal compost?
It's special water lily compost. It's very low in nutrient. A final dressing of gravel keeps the compost in place. And when everything's potted up, it's time to get planting. I think you look very dapper.
And you.
Thank you so much.
Shall we go to the ball?
Let's. The first plant we need to put in is the water lily, because they're the ones that need the deepest water.
Right.
And because we've chopped all these leaves off here, I think it's going to need something underneath it first of all. So we gradually introduce it to deeper and deeper water. Shall I pass you these bricks? Now, those leaves within days will grow and be floating on the surface.
Within days?
But yeah, the stems, they grow furiously quickly, water lilies.
Just keep moving it down.
Yeah.
So deeper and deeper.
Yes. So, great start. Let's have a go with our water plantain, shall we?
This one?
Yeah,
That's nice, isn't it?
yeah. Alisma Plantago.
Take it.
That's splendid. It will probably seed too.
Oh,
you know, and you'll
lovely.
get more coming
Yes.
up in your other pots too.
Right, it's quite heavy.
All these plants provide a perfect habitat for the wildlife that's a vital part of the pond. So these are the creatures that are going to live in your pond. They all came out of your pond in the first place, and
Yes.
they're going back, and they'd be really, really happy.
Lovely.
So water snails, some newts, dragonfly larvae, water boatmen, all sorts of stuff. So just gently ease them in.
Yeah.
Another important ingredient for a healthy pond are oxygenators, like hornwort. All you've got to do is chuck them in.
Anywhere?
A handful at a time. Yeah, just throw them in.
So long as it's not
Water will
over
take
you.
them. Yeah. Every new pond really needs a bucket of sludge. This is stuff from your old pond, microorganisms, all sorts of things that are going to bring this water, which is quite dead at the moment, to life.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It really is. I've always felt that this is the kind of hub of your garden, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the centre. But now, you know, it's real and it's live and everything's going to spread out from it. And this is the beginning of your relationship with your garden, isn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely. I think we'll carry on. It'll be a lifelong project, really, won't it? You don't ever stop. But
Yeah.
yes, it's a
Yeah.
really good start.
It's given us the enthusiasm and the confidence to carry on.
Yeah.
I do so agree with Sally that gardening is not something that ever ends. You set out wanting to make a garden and finish it and complete it. But actually, when you become a gardener of any kind, you realise it's the process that counts. It changes, it adapts, and so do you. But the business of gardening is what gives the greatest pleasure. I remember planting this ash tree about 20 years ago. It's grown fantastically well. It's actually the biggest tree in the garden, and I love it. But there is a problem, because practically nothing is growing beneath it. And that's because it's bone dry, ash roots are very shallow, and they're sucking all the moisture out of the ground, and the shade from the tree, although the shade isn't very heavy, is enough to make life difficult for anything. So dry shade is one of the hardest planting areas in any garden, and yet every garden has some dry shade, even if it's at the base of a wall or shrub or tree which is sucking up moisture, or simply hidden from the sun and blocked out. However, you can plant for it, and I've got 3 plants here which should do really well in these conditions. Cyclamen hederifolium, with these lovely white flowers. This is albiflorum. I've got a delicate geranium. This is a geranium cantabrigiense St. Ola. And I've got a native, this is sweet woodruff, gallium. And all of them are woodland plants that will cope with dry shade. When you're planting any new area, it doesn't matter if it's dry shade, wet shade, or whatever it might be, you do need to think of the composition of the planting as well as what each individual plant wants. So if I've got this group of 3 plants, I need to interrelate them. And if we take the key largest plant, which is the geranium, place that so it will spread and can be quite wide apart. Say that goes in there, like that. Then I can work around them. Now the gallium, sweet woodruff, is going to form a mat. These are not individual plants. So if I put it there, one there, and then maybe another in like that, those will almost meet in time. And then the star, certainly at this time of year, the cyclamen hederifolium. And I'm going to try these around here. The planting process itself should be quite simple. I say should because underneath a tree like this, sometimes you put your spade in or your trowel and you just hit solid root, which is why I brought with me a sharp spade as well as a planting trowel. Now this was a compost heap, so the soil is really nice. And what all these plants like is a loose root run. But what you've got under here, I don't know if you can hear it, is a root. Right there. I think it's probably deep enough for this to survive just. I can get that in. Just because a plant will cope with very dry shade doesn't mean to say that it doesn't need watering. Whenever you plant in dry conditions, give them an extra good soak to give them a start in life. And for the first year or so, don't let them dry out unduly. Now, you can improve water retention by mulching. Underneath the tree, of course, leaves will fall and they'll rot down, and that will help. And you can improve the level of shade by pruning. But fundamentally, you can't change the conditions you're given. Dry shade will remain dry shade. But choose your plants carefully, and it can be beautiful dry shade. However carefully you select your right plant for the right place, you just have to accept that there are going to be a whole range of plants that you love to grow that will not thrive in this condition. I think the secret of good gardening is not to force anything to do what it doesn't want to do. And if, for example, you planted a sunflower here, it would be miserable. However, give them the right situation, and of course, they look fantastic, particularly at this time of year. And we went down to Parham in West Sussex, which is an RHS partner garden, to see sunflowers not just looking fantastic, but grown on a scale that few of us could ever even dream of.
Here at Parham, we're lucky enough to have a 4-acre wall garden, and as head gardener, one of my main responsibilities is to manage the cutting garden. We have to produce about 20 to 30 bucketfuls of cut flowers every week, so we're always looking out for innovative ways to decorate the house. This year, one of the things we wanted to play with was sunflowers, which we realised would give us dwarf plants from knee-high all the way up to a 5-metre giant. So what we've done is arrange them all together, all 90 varieties, about 25 of each, and the idea is, as gardeners, we're just watching them, seeing how they behave, how they flower, and understanding which ones have given us a good value for money and which ones have been a bit of a flash in the pan as far as performance is concerned. The critical part of growing these sunflowers was establishment, so it was those first 2 or 3 weeks, so we made sure that they didn't want for very much in those first 2 or 3 weeks. They were well watered. Beyond that, as long as the staking was in place, they've been really self-sufficient. One of my favourite cut flowers this year has been Santa Lucia. I love the colour. I think it reminds me of a gerbera flower. My particular reason for liking this is the length of stem that I get from the side shoots. So the primary flower's been and gone, we've deadheaded that, and it's erupted with all of these side shoots. When we grow cut flowers, we try and grow a longer stem as possible because it's much easier to cut a piece of stem off than stick a piece on. This is quite a contemporary sunflower. It's not a great big classic one that you see in the farmer's fields. That's got quite a modern feel to it, that one for me. But again, it's given us lots of cut flowers and they're producing a number of buckets. That's one for the list for next year. A real revelation to me with this trial has been the dwarf sunflowers, like Munchkin that we've got here, has required no staking, no fuss, and yet it gives you these wonderful long stems which are perfectly adequate for most people's kitchen tables. When you cut a sunflower, a really important tip is to put it in a bucket of water overnight to absorb all of that water before you then look at arranging it in a vase. So give these a really good drink, and then I'll take them to my wife, and then they can be arranged with all the other garden flowers to go up into the main house for the visitors this week. Here we go.
Lovely.
Got you some Sonias and some Italian whites for a bit of height too.
Great.
Right.
Thank
Enjoy.
you. It's a fairly new thing for us to use sunflowers. We did experiment with a few last year, but not on the scale that they've grown them this year. I think the smaller to medium heads work better in displays because the stems on some of the larger ones can be very thick. They're not so easy to put in oases or vases. And the heads are very heavy, so it obviously makes the arrangement a bit unstable. The smaller ones, like the ones that Tom brought us in the bucket here, are sort of an ideal size to use in an arrangement. Colour-wise, you can pretty much put any colour with sunflowers. It works nicely with the whites and the blues and the sort of lime greens of the gladioli, but it also works really well with the sort of rustic autumnal colours as well, so it's quite a versatile flower to use. I think that'll look nice in the house.
At this time of year, it's a great time to review your borders because everything's at the biggest spread that it will be throughout the growing season, so you can see how plants will work in relation to others in the full scale of growth. So with the sunflowers, what we're doing is cutting them at ground level and we're bringing them into this gold border. We'll actually position them, so we'll put the stems through the other plantings and we can take a step back and then see how those sunflowers relate to the rest of the border. We then take a view on that and then look at propagating them for next year. OK, in this part of the border, we've got red orax, a very dark part of the border, which needs a little bit more drama, a little bit more contrast, and I think this acid yellow of the alchemy will leap out and see how they look.
If I pop this one.
Further forward. Bring that one just a little bit more forward. Yeah, I like it.
There we go.
I think it works really well, yeah. The blue sort of foliage against the dark red of the orac, I think it really stands out.
Make decisions now, because when it comes to the autumn or the spring when you traditionally move plants, you won't remember what you thought of at this time of year. So take photos, write things down, make decisions now. Going into next year and being informed is something that I really appreciate. I've got a much more comprehensive view of these flowers now, so I'm much more confident in using them all around the garden. And I've grown to love them, really have.
In the cottage garden here, we have a real mixture of plants. You have sweet peas, herbs, fruit, and vegetables, all cheek by jowl. And now I've got some space, having cut back and cleared, I can plant some veg that will be edible and an important part of our kitchen, but also look really good all winter long. Now, what I'm adding in here is some red Russian kale. Now, at the moment, it's not very red at all, just the stems, but this will get redder as it gets colder. And the beautiful thing about kale is it's really tough, so we'll take any amount of cold, stay looking good all winter. It's good for you, it's good to eat. Kale is one of those cabbages that actually doesn't get all mushy when you cook it, so it's great for adding to soups or stews. And I like the way it looks, and it will stay in the border till next spring. So they can go in, and they grow quite big. The kale will grow about 3-4 foot tall. I've got some purple sprouting broccoli. One of my favourite vegetables of all. It's tender, it's small, you can only harvest it sort of March and April. It's a treat as great as asparagus, and I love growing it. But it's quite a large plant. Oh, look, I've got a friend here helping out. A little bit of wildlife gardening going on there. That can go and eat something else. So that needs spacing, and that can go out too. And finally, some yellow chard. Now, chard, you can get yellow chard, the white Swiss chard, ruby chard, rainbow chard. It all looks fantastic. All these grown from seed, by the way, and that will stand out, and we'll just keep cutting it and it will regrow. And if you sow chard now, you will be able to plant them out in October and harvest them throughout spring. So I'll put that into the mix. This is the purple sprouting broccoli, and the great secret is to plant it deep and really firmly, because this is going to be a tall, heavy plant. And we'll have a bit of kale in front of the crabapple. Chard is one of my favourite vegetables. What I like about it is not only does it look fantastic, but the leaves you cook pretty much like spinach. The stems have a kind of celery texture, delicious on their own. And culturally, what's interesting is we British tend to eat the leaves and throw away the stems, whereas in France, they tend to eat the stems and throw away the leaves. Well, both are wrong. Eat the whole thing. It's absolutely lovely. These plants will be okay in their pots for another 2 or even 3 weeks, which buys me the time to plant them up as and when the spaces occur. And that's really the idea of a cottage garden. You fill gaps. It's not neat rows or carefully planned blocks. It's a higgledy-piggledy, and so much the better for it. Anyway, even if you're not planting some veg, here are some jobs you can be doing this weekend. It's now time to prune summer fruiting raspberries. Start by removing all last year's brown canes that bore this year's harvest. Then thin the current fresh green canes so that they are evenly spaced and leaving just nice strong growth. Finally, tie them in, spacing them evenly. You can stimulate fresh flowering from your campanulas if you cut them back. Either remove the top third of the plant so the side shoots keep on flowering, or cut the whole thing down to the ground, and then fresh growth will carry new flower heads before autumn is out. If you grow chillies or sweet peppers, the ripe fruits look fantastic on the plant, but they should be removed as soon as they're ready to eat. This will do two things. One, it'll give you the fruit at its very best, and two, it will enable unripe fruits to ripen faster. I like the simplicity of the long walk at this time of year. All you've got are two plants, box and Acanthus spinosus, repeated colour and shape down the whole length, and it makes a long, cool corridor between the busyness of the cottage garden and the intensity of colour of the jewel garden. And whilst other parts of the garden might be fading away out of summer, jewel garden isn't. The jewel garden is shining, and this is its hour of glory and will continue to be so well into the end of September. But I'm afraid that's all we've got for today. I'll see you back here at Longmeadow next time. Till then, bye-bye.